All right, what's going on, man? And we're back, and I'm here with my buddy Dan. And Dan, you've been having quite a night, huh, man? Kid Pitt wouldn't. He's got a tenant. A tenant.
I got a tenant that was late in the rent, and I basically started freaking out on me in my own house, and I don't want to say what I almost did because I'm not sure.
No, man. Let's keep
I
that
went
up.
to snatch him, but hey, all I have to say is this: look, Jeremy. After I threw him out, he wanted his money back. I said, sorry. I mean, you owed the money last month. Now I'm throwing you out of my house, but he doesn't live here. He lives in another place I own. But total pain in the ass. Relative. Don't ever rent to a relative. All right. Especially your girlfriend's. I'm sorry, your girlfriend's son.
So Alex Jones, he's the only one we haven't talked about yet, and I put his name in the title of this video, and so he's been mentioned a couple times in the comments, and I haven't talked about him yet. But man, what happened to that guy, man? He started. I was watching Alex Jones. I watched Terror Storm and Police State, 1, 2, and 3, and all those like crazy videos that he was coming out with way back in the day. He really got famous with the Waco thing. I mean, that's where he got his start, was with the Waco thing. But then he actually I mean, people give him credit for predicting 9/11, but he got that from Bill Cooper.
Bill Cooper predicted 9/11. I can tell you what happened to Alex Jones real quick, and I'm in a bad mood, so I'd love to discover anything it wants to.
Yeah, let's just hit us with some Alex Jones, and I'll interrupt you if I disagree with you and stuff.
Wreck somebody or something, please.
He's just a fear-mongering pundit. Here's
what happened with Alex Jones. He's going to the far right. Now all of a sudden he's Republican, but let's face it, Alex Jones's whole thing was, let's stay in the middle. I'm not Democrat. I'm not Republican. Here's my opinion. Rush Limbaugh sooner or later is going to be retiring. There's nobody out there to replace him. Rush Limbaugh makes $150 million a year. I forget. It might be more than that. We can look that up. Alex Jones sees money, and he wants to become the next Republican far-right guy that's out there. Because let's face it, what's his name? Who's the other guy that's the nutritional doctor that talks during the day? Michael Savage. He's out there too, but he's getting up there. Alex Jones is a couple years. Actually, Alex Jones isn't here.
Well, it's crazy how these guys are totally anti conspiracy theories and 9/11. They've flipped out on the 9/11 conspiracy and stuff. But when Alex used to be huge into promoting 9/11, and then Alex really.
What was the thing about Rumsfeld today? See, I was watching the show, but then I got enamored with a bunch of different things today. There's a huge thunderstorm going on right now, by the way. So I just want to let you know that's part of the problem. We couldn't get the guy to leave us here. Alex Jones, in my opinion, is looking for money right now. The fact that he's being sued, there's a lot of really frivolous lawsuits against him that are crazy. But hold on a minute here. Sandy Hook is a lawsuit that's being brought against him by all the parents. Now it's 9 families total, and I think they're suing for $100 million each.
Yeah, but Sandy Hook, he really messed up with that, and I posted on Facebook that he deserves it because he really did. He just took advantage of that. He knew he was promoting disinformation, but he did it anyway just to.
Well, and he tries to lie and say, I never said that this ever happened, and they've got the show.
God,
here's the whole thing, though. What they do is Alex Jones, I watched him yesterday, and he had maintained it. They're bringing all these Sandy Hook people against him, so the public really hates his guts. It started with Megyn Kelly. She had asked him, he should have never went on her show. And he claims that they're going to kill him, and they're going to use that and say, oh, he was a piece of shit and lied about Sandy Hook, so who cares that he got killed? He claims right now that he's going to be killed. He's supposedly...
I would never say that, but that's,
Well, that's what he's saying on his show yesterday.
He's a fear-monger.
Roger Stone. Sure, he's fear porn, is a lot of it. And you want to know something that's interesting? You know I have my bouts where I watch Alex Jones for a while. When I watch Alex Jones, my anxiety's heightened severely because he predicts all this bullshit that's going to happen in the next week, and none of it's ever come true that I can remember.
Well, if one thing comes true, he'll repost it and come back and be like, see? You see? I said this was going to happen.
The globalists, folks.
The globalists, folks. The globalists.
Yes, the globalists. The global elites. Now, one person he has been hammering, which I love, is George Soros.
Dude.
That guy there.
Terror Storm was awesome, man. Terror Storm was the shit, and Alex was the man back in the day when he was, really putting together this stuff, exposing, really trying to expose real stuff. But lately,
He's dumped conspiracies.
he's dumped all the
Because
conspiracies. You know, and I
you
think
know
the same thing
why?
happened with Joe Rogan because he was all over those conspiracies. And then when he went on that television show and did it, and that's right after that, that's when he got huge. That's when he
Well, Jones
blew up and got
maintains
big.
that yeah, Joe Rogan. This what was that
So
called?
I kind of like I have this whole idea.
Yeah,
It's like they sit these people down and they tell them like, look, you can be big and we'll promote you and you'll blow up and be big, but you just got to go along with this. And if you don't, then
it's
I don't
bye
know.
bye. Joe
Whatever. I
Rogan
don't know.
is out there in L.A. too.
I
So
don't
I
think
mean,
they have
that's
to
the
kill
worst
you.
place to be.
They just freaking downgrade you into obscurity. Like they've done with like
Yeah.
me up practically. I almost feel.
Well, what do you think about Joe? Let me ask you something. Okay, as far as Alex Jones go, Cenk Uygur or whatever his name is from the Young Turks, they started hammering Alex Jones saying the lizard people. They kept saying that he believes in the lizard people. That was a David Icke thing. He had David Icke on his show. Do you think that Alex Jones has new management possibly that is trying to guide him in a direction towards Trump? Or do you think he sees dollar signs? Because the whole thing basically is backfiring on him. If these Sandy Hook families get a liberal judge, Alex Jones could be broke. I mean, do you know what attorneys are going to cost? But he has fundraiser shows for 24 hours. It raised millions of dollars, and he sells his supplements. Him
Right.
and Jeff Bezos are at it
Working
from
out.
Amazon. Jeff Bezos and him have been at it. What's your opinion on exactly why he dumped conspiracies? Because I think it's different than Joe Rogan's experience on why he has.
I think you might be onto something there. He's really trying to be that replacement for Rush Limbaugh,
Yes,
and then
and it is.
he's dumped them in order to appeal to be this. Oh yeah, the supplements.
Yeah, I mean, he's selling, there's a couple guys that have taken every supplement that he mentions and they feel no different. They gain no weight, they lose no weight with the muscle mass and all that stuff. If Alex Jones' supplements would work, let's face, he wouldn't be as fat as he is. And, he literally is the only guy I've ever seen that needs like liposuction on his face. His face is much fatter than the rest of him, which tells me he probably had liposuction on his stomach and stuff because it just doesn't make any sense how fat his head is. But
Oh
I
man,
think Alex Jones sees a lot of money.
he's just a
I think
meme, dude.
I
That's right.
think Joe Rogan. Can anybody name the name of that damn show? Joe Rogan knows everything, or Joe Rogan inspects everything. What the hell's the name of that show? Joe Rogan has. Someone out there help us, please. Joe Rogan states that when that show came out, that when he started to talk to all the people
Questions
that believe in Bigfoot and all the alien people that believe in UFOs and all that stuff, he
Yeah.
said that he just felt his bullshit monitor went through the
Yes,
roof.
I was trying to talk about this before, and you were friggin', shaking your tenant
Yeah,
down for money, and I was like, I couldn't have this, and you weren't. It wasn't that, man.
it's actually not a tenant, but it's my
Yes.
son-in-law, if you want to call him that.
Questions
He tried to
everything.
destroy
It was
my
when he
house.
did this show. It was when he did this show. It was whoever the producers were, or whoever. I don't know, man. It's really hard to tell. Like, what. I'd like to get him and sit him down and ask him about it, and really pick his mind on what about it made him change his mind on everything. Because
Well, that's what I heard him
him and I
say.
really differ on what we are kind of into. I mean, and Bigfoot. Why even bother, man?
Well,
Uh,
he has Eddie, yeah, Bigfoot. Well, that's because he smokes a lot of weed, and all those guys from Humboldt County are the ones that claim they see Bigfoot. He has Bobo Fay on there from Finding Bigfoot or whatever on there, and you've got a lot of guys and a lot of people that have seen something out in the woods. People see ghosts, apparitions. How do we know that Bigfoot's just not some type of ghost that's being seen in the woods, some type of primitive man? How we would shrink, though, I don't know. How do we know that they're not seeing some type of ghost due to like some type of entanglement? I can't explain it.
Bigfoot,
I
a
live near
Mothman,
Gettysburg.
dude.
I
I
live
don't
near
know. This
Gettysburg,
is
Pennsylvania, and
ridiculous.
it's the most haunted place in the United States, and people see soldiers up there all the time in very weird spots, and there's films and there's crazy pictures.
Yeah.
Because the fact of the matter is this. Here's my problem with Bigfoot. Anybody
Yeah,
out there?
all I would really need is like good microphones and some producers that were good, and I could be successful enterprise just like Jones, man. I got way better content, and I have just a lot better material than that dude. I'm sorry, and I just have a lot more between my ears than he does too. So.
Well, and you and me are both pretty much the same in politics. We're not left or right. We're in the middle. If you stick with one party, you're just totally stuck with voting in that area, it seems, and that just is ridiculous.
Yeah, Joe Rogan's all right, but he's just a shock jock. He's in it. He's not in it for the truth, and he's not in it for like getting information out, or like he said, he's not a scientist. He's not trying to like analyze things. He's just doing it for entertainment. That's the only thing.
He was going after Hillary Clinton a couple of months ago with that Seth Rich murder, which is very interesting, and I thought, wow, he's treading water. Seems like people that talk about the Clintons end up gone. And all of a sudden he stopped just like that. You know, I haven't heard him mention anything of that in a while. It's been a month or so. Almost like it's like, hey, tone it down. Well, maybe he's had some videos.
Well, I don't think Joe's a complete meathead, dude. He actually has like, you know, he's got the truthfulness and the honesty together. You know, he's actually trying to be legitimate about stuff, but he's just been. I feel like his situation, he's had to ignore certain topics or go certain directions for whatever reason, and you know, he stayed away from like 9/11. He's got these debunkers on, and he totally thinks that there's nothing to 9/11. He only is like.
Really Joe Rogan doesn't think there's anything to those buildings just blowing to smithereens. It looks like a palm tree. You know, just blowing out like this all the way down. He actually believes the pancake theory.
Yeah, he believes he's got this guy on Rick West.
I've seen him already.
Rick West. Yeah, I watched that show, and I just like that they didn't really impress me because they didn't really get into like the real core stuff. Man, if I could get on and debate one of these guys with them, or get on Joe's podcast to really talk about this, man.
Well, and the flat earther bullshit, he has that on there, but that's Eddie Bravo doing that. Anybody that believes the earth is flat, it'd have to be a universal conspiracy. Anyone can send a rocket up in the air and look at the earth with what are those cameras called? Doesn't even matter. There have been plenty of people that have tested it. Flat earth theory, that's bunk.
I would love to get on Joe's podcast. I don't think Joe would ever have me on, you know, unless like, unless we
You'd have to have
like,
something huge. You'd have to have something.
We get something huge.
He had Stephen Greer on there and like kind of he listened to his bullshit for an hour and then kind of hammered him. Stephen Greer is all about the money. I don't care what anybody says.
I mean, 9/11 Inside Out didn't
bullshit so much.
It didn't really get a lot of views, but you know, my video that's called 9/11 Conspiracy Solved, that one has quite a bit of views, and is much more.
Does that have the suspects in it or not?
Yeah, that one's got like almost it's got over 1 million views, over 1 million views, almost. Yeah, and you know what? It's been blowing up recently, man. Like
really?
Especially the comments feed, man. Tons of people go on this and argue. It just hit 1 million like earlier this year, or I think like late last year. It really didn't.
Yeah, how old is it?
It's only a year old. I post. Oh no, wait, this one's since 2012. This one I posted in 2012.
1.2 million views. Yeah, but still, that's a lot. Alex Jones actually had your one video on one time.
Yeah, no, he did. He talked about it, and people have brought it up on his show.
He wanted you to contact him, and he's actually trying to hire people. That was a while back, but he was very blown away. He's seen a number of your documentaries and loved what you do. So that's a fact. I remember it. I remember you talking to him on the air. Right?
Yep.
Not sure people are aware of that.
Yeah, but this video is really, it's gotten a lot of pop. I still see like lots of comments like that. People comment on it, you know. See, there's still people commenting on it like regularly and stuff.
No.
I go in my chat feed, this goes in back and gives all my comments and stuff.
Wow.
That was an X-rated image that someone had for their profile picture. Oh, jeez, I didn't even see that. But yeah, there's still get people commenting like and legitimate, like, random real names, and they're like, great video, thanks for this, you know, like, wow, you know, like, I thought there was nothing to this, and I was, you know, beginning to think all these theories were bunk, but you did some really solid research, and, you know, like, stuff like that, like, you really changed my mind and, like, woke me up, and I'm going to show this to people, and, you know, that's the kind of stuff that,
I'm sure I already seen this. I remember the
yeah, I
wall
would
being
never work
being
for
knocked out at the very
AJ.
beginning. I remember
I want to
seeing
get my
this.
own. I want to get my own channel together, and I want to get. There's other channels out there, and and people producing videos that deserve to have like a real channel, like a real network that we could set up and pull everyone together, all like the quality people. And I think we should really try to network and set something like that up together. There's a lot of people out there talking about it, and I got a lot of other people that I talk to. And I'm thinking like a different person that I have on every night just to discuss different avenues in different areas, because there's all kinds of different stuff out there to discuss. And I know we should. I'm up here in Rhode Island, but you know, I'd be willing to relocate if we could get something started. It's really the property. I want to buy a piece of land and build a whole facility and stuff to do all this, and
And that
also
one
set
comment
up.
up there. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
And also some research like on the side, and you know, something we could build into something else. You know, like if I had a media empire to start this off, and then we could branch out and start. I want people that could want to go and do interviews with labs and other scientists and get paid to do it, and we'll get like the interviews and everything posted up. It would be a really great thing. I think we could. There's a need for it right now. There's these people like Alex Jones that have dropped out, and there's really a lack of credibility in this area. I mean, To the Stars Academy is like and Secure Team 10. They've kind of fallen apart, really. I mean, they're still trying to cling on to these media connections that they have, and they're getting these.
You know who
stories
keeps
published and
posting on it
stuff.
and makes me laugh? George Knapp did another video again the
Oh,
other
yeah.
day. So commented again on it. And it's like, you know what? It's because the Bob Lazar stuff is so dead, and he made up so much money off that with his UFO videos, all the stuff he's been involved in. He wants to try and cash in on To the Stars, hanging out with Jeremy Corbell, Kenyon Lockyer, who's producing a new Lazar video, which is a joke because.
Yeah, what the heck is that guy? Lockyer Corbell? What the heck, this guy?
Jeremy Kenyon, Corbell Lockyer, and there will be a
Yeah.
paper debuted on this channel very soon that will absolutely prove, beyond any doubt,
This
Paul
guy.
Lazar's
I
like a
follow this
total
dude on
fraud.
Facebook, and I just like, ah, man, everything he posts, I can't believe that he's like super popular on Facebook too. Let me find this dude.
Well, ask
Yeah.
how popular is at John Lear's house. He was apparently was booted out of there for taking
He
a bunch
hasn't
of
blocked
things
me
over there.
or unfriended me yet, but I've been posting like stuff on everything he posts, like just like, oh, here, check this out.
He hasn't done his, he got into ufology like 4 or 5 years ago and thought he was an expert. I talked to him one night for 5 hours, and he has no clue about anything.
Yeah,
Nothing.
these guys just.
Nothing at all. I thought he's a beginner. It's going to take him 10 years to understand that Dan Burrish is totally full of shit. So
Right, he's so far behind on his research, man. Why don't we
Well,
get
and he
into
wants to make money.
why don't we do some stuff? Let's do some
the
like
truth doesn't matter to him.
let's do some popular cases that you think we've debunked that haven't really been permanently debunked. Oh yeah, Jordan Sather was supposed to have me on, man. Destroying the Illusion, that dude. Someone mentioned him in the comments. Destroying the Illusion. That guy, you know, he's doing it. He's taken off, dude. His channel is gotten big, dude. And all he does is he just parrots information that's already out there. He hasn't really like.
Show me.
I don't think he does a really good job at just analyzing or digging into stuff or giving his opinions. He kind of just
Joel Harvey, you're
regurgitate.
exactly right. Joel Harvey says just the YouTube stories being recycled for money. And he's right.
Yeah, it's just regurgitated for money, and he's just trying to like recycle these stories and stuff and put it out there. It's really what I've seen. He hasn't, and he doesn't give any objectiveness or conclusions or draw any conclusions on stuff or give any supporting evidence or links to additional information. He just kind of like, oh, he was talking about Ralph Ring and you know, all these other guys.
You know what really sucks about everything that's going on with YouTube right now and the blow up of UFO videos is You know, I used to scour every video that I could, Jeremy, if you remember that. Every single one of them I could, but there's so many fakes out there. It's impossible to find one that's possibly real that would be a true UFO case, as an unidentified flying object. It doesn't mean it's an alien, per se, but there's so many fake videos out there, and you got to wonder, like, a lot of these channels, like Third Phase of Moon, those guys are a joke.
Yeah.
They produce so much fake shit. Tyler Glockner from Secure Team 10, you always notice it's an anonymous person that sends him the video most of the time.
Yeah, an anonymous person. He's just pulling them off.
He pretended to be a NASA scientist and was busted because his lisp and accent was identical to the supposed NASA scientist, and the guy filtered his voice, and you could tell it was him interviewing himself.
Geez,
he took the video down. I mean, there's guys making big bucks out there, but the truth doesn't matter to these guys because they want you to believe everything that's posted. It doesn't matter.
Where's that video with that they were posting, and the guy deleted all your comments, and he was saying he was filming UFOs like off in the distance, and it was dirt bikes. It was really.
Oh my gosh! Now that is a guy named. Let's see here, because he changed his name twice now. It used to be, now it's, I think, UFOs over in Nevada, and he goes by the name. It's actually mountain bikes up on the hill, coming down the hill with lights on. And I actually showed him the actual place. His name is. Hold on a minute.
Yeah, you showed a video of the actual place that was filmed during the daytime.
Type in Steve Ferrone UFOs.
And there's all those mountains and trails and stuff.
Yeah, and every time the mountains, the UFOs he films are almost every one of them are below the mountaintops. And I showed him the actual mountain bikers that were coming down the hill from their view footage in first person, showing them coming down what he calls cliffs, mountains, whatever. There's a ton of mountain bikers in Nevada. Here's his channel, Jeremy. It's UFOs Over Vegas - Steve Ferrone. Barone.
It's clickbait,
and this
and
guy,
it's just.
Yeah, he's on disability, and I think he's trying to make some money. But this guy completely ignores the fact that you can rent helicopters in Las Vegas and fly them around. He has a light amplification system that's on his camera that lights he's seeing from very far away. Regular people are not seeing them via mountain biker lights that are coming down a hill from 13 miles away. He can see them because he's got a light amplification system on, you know. And I proved it to the guy, and sure enough, he started deleting my comments left and right. And
these guys don't care about the truth. They're just trying to push
beliefs
and push nonsense, man. It's crazy. Like this, look at this clickbait. This guy, it's like some. This is his video. Danger Zone. What did we just find in Area 51, 2018? Well, since when did Rachel, Nevada turn into
that's Third Phase of
temperate zone? This is this is ridiculous.
Such a lie. They're in Hawaii, by the way, saying that it's Area 51.
Yeah.
You notice that?
This is Hawaii.
Area 51. Brett and Blake Cousins.
Look at Hawaii. Look at this. Yeah. Look at that. That's definitely Hawaii. Look at the volcanic.
They're identical twins, and they're complete idiots. But they've made a lot of money over the years. But everybody pretty much knows these guys are liars.
This is footage of a volcano. This
right,
is footage of a
volcano
in there, and he throws Area 51 on there, and he puts
81,000. It's only a week old. Wow.
This is the stuff that's out there, people. Can we like get serious? Like, how is it that my videos get like 1,000 views, and this video gets 81,000 since May 20th?
Because of you. I call it UFO and alien biasing.
This is just an example of this. This is why I need to get a channel and just come back and like seeing this. It just
Yeah, there's one of the Cousins brothers. That's either Breaker or Brett. They look they're identical.
What, are they from Hawaii or something?
Yeah, they live in Hawaii. Why they threw Area 51 in there, I have no idea. What did we just find? Well, maybe he sometimes he'll put something else in there. That's certainly not Area 51, ladies and gentlemen.
We're doing a news report with the New York Times. We're going to do a little interview here.
It's clickbait to get you,
These guys are like...
cameraman. They
This
made a
is what-
fortune back in the day. Believe me, back in the last 5 years, they made a lot of money.
You know, maybe we should just put together a channel and put like produce fake content, man, and just get paid to do that. We'll just make a new channel because my channel's already
Well-
marked, man. They know mine's a truth channel. I don't get, you know.
Well, this guy here in Secure Team 10, this guy goes way overboard. I think Secure Team 10 is actually
Look at these
insulting
guys.
this guy, which is pretty bad.
Their respirators.
Forward it a little bit and see if we see any of Area 51, because maybe they'll show something.
Oh, so now they got this stuff. Let's see. Hold on.
Because the video is like, what, 10, 20 minutes?
That's just really. Oh, now they go on the Google Earth zoom in.
Right to the volcano news right now. I was saying a few days ago that we were going to share something quite incredible from Area 51.
Oh, so now he was just showing us the volcano, but he's getting into Area
What I
51.
was talking about. So let's go over here and I'll show you this right away. So Area
jeez.
51's to your right over here, and maybe about 4 or 5 miles. There's something really weird. Let's take a closer look. Okay, it seems that the rain's coming down here in Hawaii, and that might be a good thing. Maybe wash some ashes away from the volcano, but we're going to zoom into Area 51, just a few miles left of it, and look at this. This is getting really weird. It
Okay.
says, what you're about to see is quite amazing. He really can't make out what it is. And Brian, hey, I can't really argue with you. I don't know what this is right now.
Now, that's a nuclear
Those-
cleanup site.
Those are tethers. That's an anchor point.
Basically a structure, a hole, maybe a...
Jeremy, let me ask you something.
That's a-
there are tethers.
Up to this hole here.
Yeah, that's a footing, and those are tether
Right.
cables. It was probably a balloon or a stand or a radar. You know, like a.
Well, they also do bombing tests with their drones right now. See all the little marks in the ground? Those are bombs that have gone off.
Yeah, they're bomb craters.
And
They'll
they
set up
create all
mock
types of-
targets
They
And then
create
they'll-
all types of different targets in this location.
to test
Um,
aircraft and do
And
dogfights.
this idiot has no idea what he's looking at. To the right,
No
you
clue.
look at that. That circle is a bombing zone right there that they test weapon systems with.
Yeah, I'm gonna go and
I
zoom
mean, this
in on
is
this.
nothing
on my own.
unusual. It's a freaking Air Force. It's the freaking Nevada testing and training grounds. I mean, this is nothing unusual. Duh.
Let's
Holy
go.
shit.
Why don't we do some of that? Look, why don't we show these people some real stuff on Google Maps, because they seem to, they don't have the kind of information we do. So I'm going to go into this. Let's go to Rachel, Nevada, and we'll go over some things for these people. Oh my God. Here's Las Vegas, right? And if you go up, there's Dogbone Lake, and there's Groom Lake right here. This is the Nevada test site. So what he was looking at was, let me see, it's probably gonna
Right
be
here,
this
right there,
bomb
yeah.
and run.
There you go, yeah. He was to the left, and he was to the left of Papoose.
So this is all the nuclear. This is all the craters for where they basically tested.
And he was over here,
These are all
right there.
nukes.
Right there he is, to the left there. Down a little bit. To the left, over. There's the nuclear tests. There's the...
Here's this place, right?
See, they all have tethers coming out of them. It has to do with...
Well, some of them, they did a lot of these, what it was called, right? These
They do
nuclear
all
tests
that
where
stuff.
they want to see what a nuclear explosion will look like, because you drop a nuclear bomb, sometimes you don't release it.
They would detonate them underground.
It's an above. They have underground tests, and then they have above ground,
Right.
out like
A lot of the above ground tests were done over the ocean. People don't
So
realize
what
that.
waited to do this? But they got some. Let's go with some of these unseen footages of the nuclear tests, because they used to literally they would suspend the nuke from these weather balloons, like huge weather balloons, and suspend the nuke in the air and then detonate it to just see what the impact would be like at a certain height. You know,
Yeah, you're right.
because when you drop a bomb, you could you could choose it to detonate before it actually hits the ground, because if you detonate it a little bit above, you could maybe actually get a little bit more blast from it. So,
And I'm sure there's an explanation for the tether.
I'm sure there's, if
at
they
the
release
Nevada
some of
nuclear
these,
test site, you know.
if they release some of these videos, they probably have it. But that's what my guess is, what it would have been. Either that, or what they do is they'll make a tower, you know, a radio tower, one of those huge radio towers.
Well, remember, they would have stuff suspended in the air also to see what the blast would do to whatever it was they had suspended in the air as well.
So you could suspend it in the air. You could hang
an aircraft from a balloon or whatever, and then the tether would hold on to it and keep it in place.
Right, but these are tethers that hold these radio towers in place, and you see how there's several of them, and they're all anchored to a single point, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And so let's find that thing. Where is it? Where is the thing exactly that he was talking about? I want to see where he zoomed into exactly.
You were right in on it. That was part of it. It was typical bullshit that he finds to just put a video up and try to get views.
If I were Google too, if I were like the NSA, I'd go and like blur out that area right after he makes the video, so it seems more suspicious that everyone's looking in that area, and it's like, really all the real stuff's blurred out, man, completely. But yeah, I don't know where the heck that tether thing. Let me go back to that video so we can actually find this. Where he zooms in from originally. Alright, so here it is. There's that thing. Okay.
That the rain's coming down here in Hawaii, and that might be a good thing. Maybe wash some ashes away from the volcano. Where does he zoom into? We're going to zoom into Area 51.
Oh, right there. Boom, it was right there.
Yeah, that's
there. It is. So here it is, right? So let's just look for a second here. All right. 1, 2. I bet there's another one. Oh.
Yeah, up there was one. There was one up. Yeah, right there. So
there's a big concrete plate. There's a concrete plate. I don't see the tethers on that one, but this one's got the tethers.
Yeah.
It's got these bands that go down to that link up to a single point. So this looks like an anchor in your footing. That's a big concrete footing. There's 2 other concrete footing or platforms here. This looks like a location for nuclear tests, but all right. Well, here's another one right here. It almost looks like another one of those, the same shape of a footing, but the tethers aren't there.
Right.
So all I'm looking for is like a third one geometrically opposed, you know, in a triangle, you know. So like 1, 2, 3. It almost looks like there was one right here. I don't know if that's the perfect equilateral triangle, but it almost looks like what you'd see on in a radio tower.
Yeah, I mean, you got to remember
so I know there's some radio
there was
towers.
all kinds of construction that was done to see what would happen with the destruction of an atomic weapon, and I think you've nailed it. I mean, they were suspending things in air. There was a lot of things going on. I've done a search right here I want to kind of.
I'm trying to find. I know there's a bunch of big antennas in Newton, Mass. that I've always seen off the highway. So I wanted to kind of find those and show people what they look like from a aerial perspective, so they could kind of see. Let me just do antenna. No, let's see that. No, where is it? It's like, yeah, it's like down in here in this park. Millennium Park? No. Oh, where the heck is it? I wish I could find these antennas for you, because I could show you what an antenna looks like. Those are baseball fields.
That's pretty thick cable they have.
Yeah, that's really thick cable, though. It does look like
to be able to see it from I can't remember how many feet were above there. You see it like that. But, I mean, Jeremy, how thick do you think that is round? It's got to be extremely heavy metal cable. I mean, to see it from Google Earth.
Boom, here's one. So, is this a radio antenna? Where is it?
And you got to
there's
remember,
one.
back then the communications were radio antennas. Maybe they were just testing the strength of their standard radio antenna.
Or
in the 60s and the 70s. I mean, they're doing these tests. I
it
mean,
could have
right,
been. It could have been a tower too. You know, think about this too.
radar tower or something.
What if it was a tower that they posted up one of these above the surface detonation devices on, like I was saying, that where they detonate the bombs slightly above the surface. So they just build a mock tower, and after that thermonuclear device went off, whatever that platform, that structure, just would be melted, legs. But why would they look like spaghetti? It doesn't look like structural columns, and they'd be cross bracing and stuff too. So
Right.
I don't know. It's just literally they'll do a video on stuff like this and be like, "This is real serious." It's in the Nevada test range. This is where they fly planes and do like bombing drills, because it's a whole it's a nuclear wasteland. Each one of these craters is a bomb place where they set off a nuclear device for a different test.
Well, I think you're right too. They could have suspended the weapon, 50 feet in the air, 75 feet in the air, and detonated it, and that would have been the way they would have did it.
And who knows? They might have used a different tether every time and done like several tests and in that one
I've seen those
one
tethers
area.
before. I've seen those tethers before going down into big.
It almost
craters
looks like they
also.
would have done a big above the ground test, because look how this whole section is the where
If you email them,
you'll see
they'll
where
tell
the
you.
most radioactive places are, because
Yeah.
look at here we have plant, you can see vegetation, right? But as you get
Yep.
closer to the center of this, there's no vegetation, man.
If you take a picture of that and contact them, they'll get back to you. They did with David.
Yeah.
With that fake UFO that was sitting over the ground for many years, and they found out it was two piles of dirt. One pile of dirt was gray, one pile of dirt was black, and it looked like a UFO with a shadow. I'll never forget it. It's the only UFO that sat there over like 12 years on Google Earth. It's like, it's been there an awful long time.
So what about the supposed there's a secret underground tunnel that connects Area 51 with Edwards Air Force Base?
Well, they claim that they have evacuated tube technology going from, let's see, wow, literally they claim it connects the whole 38th parallel all the way across the United States.
So here's Edwards down here.
Yep. I wouldn't be surprised.
And
I know there's.
it's not
I know
that
that they
far
have
away.
extensive.
It's not that far away. It's right here to there, but damn, that's like a ton of tunnel boring and some serious stuff.
There's a friend of mine that's still alive that worked underground at Edwards in the labs.
That's one of the more probable. Like Joe Rogan says that he thinks that Bigfoot's the most probable or believable. What about the freaking underground tunnels, man? Like,
Yeah.
what about that? You don't think that's like a more believable one? I like the whole idea, because I've come up with this theory. I went to Denver Airport when I flew out of there years ago, but I saw the murals and everything, and just like driving into the place and seeing the surrounding landscape.
I heard it's spooky.
It's kind of a weird place, man. It's spooky, because look at it. First off, the whole thing looks like a giant swastika.
That's right. It is. I know that some of the NASA training buildings are giant swastikas too.
Which, geometrically, it wouldn't be a bad design for an airport, because, for a layout, geometrically, I could see why, it may not just appear like that, So there could be other, I wouldn't really go into the whole theory that it's Nazis and all this other stuff, the swastika. But really, realistically, what the heck is going on here? Because they have this, underneath this terminal, this big canvas thing. It's like the whole thing was dug out, and there's all kinds of serious, huge excavation going on there.
Right.
You see this pit that they've dug out, and this trench and all this other stuff. It's like, if they can build
that's
that,
crazy.
and they can dig out stuff like that, and they got all this I mean, look at the kind of construction they got going on. And they got this. What the heck is underneath that thing?
Well, they claim that there is a huge underground base under the Denver airport, right? So think about this.
This is what I believe, right?
The construction is a great cover for it. The airport took several years longer than it was supposed to build.
Oh, yeah.
Longer it was supposed to take. I mean, the construction itself, Jeremy, is an excellent cover. I mean, we just pull tons and tons of dirt out of there and just keep shipping it out,
You know what? It would be kind of crazy. We almost like should start like a fund to go do like an investigation on this to see if
man, I wish so.
How about this, right? What if we took like a ground penetrating loop, right? Like similar to what they use with the ground penetrating radar searches, right? And we just made a vehicle, and we did a loop around the whole airport to see if there's any like weird differences in the ground where it's like, oh, there's a hollow point. There's a giant hollow point, like right here.
Look at the patterns there. I mean, that looks like a pyramid almost.
Oh, yeah. All the weird Masonic stuff in Denver. What I really think is going on there, Dan, is I think that there's, if they had, it's quite plausible they could have tunnels that go here. And what I think they do, what I really think there's a tunnel that goes from here, and it goes to, and it goes out to, where the heck is this? Let me just see. Not Cheyenne Mountain. Iron Mountain? So, I really think, like, out here in Boulder, like, see, right here, they have this whole thing. Tons of excavation been going on here. Huge, large-scale excavation. Right, tons of dirt just being dumped there from somewhere. Someone's dumping like huge mounds of dirt here. They're doing some kind of crazy excavation. But I really think that you know they did do a lot of excavation in the tunnels there because they have this Iron Mountain facility where it's literally just a giant tunnel in the ground where they've been digging it out. But I have this theory that they actually have a tunnel that connects Denver Airport to Iron Mountain because in the event of anything that happens, it's part of this continuity of government plan that they would fly, whoever the Air Force One will fly right to Denver Airport and they get in this tunnel and go to the secure location, which is like 5 miles underground in some mountain fortress. Right?
Jeremy, where I live, we were hearing underground explosions every morning between 8 and 8:06 that rocked our house. And it didn't make any sense because the closest quarry is probably within about 4 or 5 miles, but they are not allowed to start blasting until after 10 a.m. Now, the problem is the local quarries, you can't hear them. They're too far away, but you hear this deep blasting. I can tell you this much. I am straight in line from Washington, D.C., straight north to one of the main facilities, underground spots that the president, the continuity of government would go. It's called...
they have a couple of them. They have a bunch of them all over, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
and this isn't the only one. And really, I think that that's what those things are for. And a lot of these rumors about the giant tunnel boring sites and machines are really part of this. That
this went on for 7 years. Oh, Raven Rock Complex. I would be pretty much north of there from.
You know what's interesting is one of the first
Washington D.C.
One of the first continuity of government. Offices and headquarters that they had, right? You know where it was?
Yeah. Where?
It's in Dallas, Texas, in the basement of...
That's something.
It was in the basement of the hotel near where Kennedy, during the time that Kennedy was there and gave his speech. And
right.
I read this whole thing on it, like, it basically said, like, that how the whole operation was, like, run there behind the scenes in the event that something else happened, and they were trying to keep Johnson safe and everything else, but and keep the country safe in case the Russians or someone else tried to take over or launch an attack as soon as they were to stage this that shooting of the president and everything. Which I really I want to get into JFK too.
I think they have. Yeah, we do. You must
We
have
got to do a
underground
whole show on
facilities
JFK
everywhere.
because I've researched the hell out of the JFK conspiracy, and I have
So have
so
I.
much that I could drop on it, man. That was,
You want to tap into it a little bit?
oh
I'd love
man,
that.
I don't
Hey,
know. What do you
Google
guys
Earth.
think? Gonna
You
get
know what? Google Earth. People should put in requests and see if they want to go over. You know me, man. I searched over Google Earth for years. I mean, years, and I had a whole website just saved with pictures and photos. I'd have to get back into it. It was under Photo Bucket. I had so much saved on there, and at one time they literally blocked me from looking over the whole Nevada test site, the whole Nellis test and training ground, and I can prove it. It was the most bizarre thing you had ever seen in your life, and I was blocked out on the complete outline of the Nevada test and training ground, and I can prove it. There are photos on a forum, screenshots. And I even did it live, and it showed someone, and they verified, wow, I've never seen anything like that before. It was completely blacked out with blocks, and it lifted finally like a year later. I could not get on Google Earth in that one spot.
why don't
Everywhere
you?
else
Why
was
don't you?
fine.
I know you know a lot of really cool, weird places. So why don't you get on Google Earth and share your screen and show us some stuff, man? Because last time you did that for me, man, I was just like, bam, wow. These guys want us to get into JFK. We could talk
Where'd you like to
JFK
go?
a little bit. Let's talk.
Let's talk JFK.
Let's do
What's their
JFK real quick, and
favorite
then we'll.
conspiracy belief?
While we're
What is
here,
their favorite belief? We had some people claim the driver did it. What else?
well, here's the thing, right? The Crossfire zone. That there was multiple shooters, at least
Yeah.
a couple other ones
Sure.
in all the Daltex building, right? That's what someone said. There was another shooter in the Daltex building. This
Yep.
This is my kind of synopsis, right?
Mhm.
Lee Harvey Oswald was supposedly in this window. I think this
Yeah.
far window of the school book
He
depository
was in the
building.
far window to the right at the top.
And the far window to the right at the top of the school.
And they will
depository
not let
building.
you in if you go
You can't
there.
get in the room. They
visit
won't
the
let you in
cars.
the room for the tour.
Yeah, you can only get to the window that's to the left of it. You know why? Because if you actually get in the window and you try to put your body in the position that he was in and fire, you can't achieve the correct angle unless you hang out the window.
So I believe the theory that Lyndon Baines Johnson's personal assassin Malcolm Wallace could have been in this sixth floor building in this corner. That
Interesting.
people saw another shooter in that window. Witnesses described another shooter in that window, and the description of that shooter really fits Malcolm Wallace to a T. And Malcolm Wallace was a known hitman and assassin for JFK.
Right.
There was rumor. I remember reading something that there was another Mauser or another gun that they had found that was brought out of there. That was a different rifle from the Carcano that Lee Harvey Oswald allegedly used.
He had a mail.
But there was this other. The other thing I really believe is that the grassy knoll right over this corner of the picket fence right here would have been the perfect sniper angle. So
There
there's a
was
lot of people.
There was many people that seen the guy.
Everybody
back there.
was running towards that. If you go, like, let's look at the Knicks film, right? For example.
Did you ever see the guy that was a child that stands there and talks about what he had saw, and it's all he stands there all day, and people he hands out pamphlets and stuff like that. You ever see that guy?
Images of those blasts. After scouring the
Knicks
floor,
film. Oh, I've seen that guy
Very
before.
interesting guy. He's awesome. Very interesting. He's telling the truth. He claims the guy right there where you were talking about did it. He saw him run away and start putting the gun away and everything, and they found a bullet casing there many years later. I think about 5 years ago they found a bullet casing there buried in the dirt.
Right. Well, you can kind of see the grass pop up right where they're standing. So you'll see like this one spot. You'll see like the grass pop up right, and they looked down to where the shot landed. So that was one of the other stray shots that missed. They were caught in the crossfire. So look, you can see this girl's walking towards the car with her camera to get a picture, and then she stops and then like looks down this way. There's another shot that missed and landed over here somewhere.
Wow, that's very clear.
Because you can see her stop.
Yeah.
So she stops, and there's like some weird editing. There's these
These videos have all been edited.
They've all been edited. You can tell where they did frame overlays and stuff, and you can see it in the you can see it. And I didn't believe that for years, but then I eventually was able to see. But you can
The
see
Zapruder
this
film
thing
was
that
really
comes up
edited
here.
out.
And you see these artifacts like that appear above and behind, where they're like basically overlaying frames
Absolutely.
and stuff to try to. It's kind of weird.
You do realize that they had a number of film experts look at the Zapruder film, and they claim the back of Kennedy's head is painted, so you couldn't really see what was seen.
That was
there,
when the
which was
final
a
headshot happened, but you can
giant
see.
hole in the back of his head.
So back and to the left, right? You see right there
Back
that
and to the
flop. You
left.
see that flop? You can see it in there too. You can see where his head just like rips open and splits open and flaps backwards.
Yeah, he
right
was
there
shot from the
for a
front
second.
because that's what happens. The
Because
hole
he got
in
shot from the
entry
front.
hole.
Boom! It was a shot from the front.
Also, what about the hit to the throat where he pulls his arms up? He got hit
And
straight
get this,
in the
right?
trach, which I think paralyzed him from the weight from about the chest down.
Which is
He
interesting
moves
because
his arms very weird.
this person ducks for cover and runs up the stairs. So that's where a lot of people say the shot would have originated from, which means it would have came right over his head. But why didn't he look up that way? But it's weird because all these people after they all go running this way. And look,
Well, they were chasing after the guy that they said fired
the assassin.
shot.
Yeah, they were chasing after the assassin. You can't.
Well, there's
I
a
don't know if
Men
you
in
can see
Black
it all.
guy running, isn't there? Seaman the Black Hat.
Right. Well, it was the style of the 60s.
That's how people
and
dressed
stuff,
back then. Yeah.
So it's hard to say. So there it goes over and pop.
Well,
But all those
there was
people
a
ran up
major
the hill.
conspiracy.
That's it. It's just weird how this person. They're looking.
there were threats, and they let the guy drive in a convertible. That says it all. There was a major conspiracy to have this guy whacked, and it had to come from somewhere in the top.
Well, I read Jim Mars's book. And it was one of his best works.
See how his head's painted? See how it's
Crossfire. Crossfire
Yeah.
was an excellent book, and they went into all kinds of.
Yeah, Jim Mars passed away, unfortunately, this year. He was great.
Yeah, Jim Mars. I didn't like all of his stuff,
Yeah.
but Crossfire really put him on the map and really,
Did you
really did a
did you
good
ever look
job
into his death
digging
at all?
into
How
it.
weird it was. His one eyeball disintegrated. It's very strange. And then he had kidney failure. He was dead a month later.
One of the other
his
sites
one
I really
eyeball
like. So
disintegrated.
definitely a great book if you're really new to the JFK conspiracy and want like some background. Crossfire is as a must read. Also, I would suggest going to Russ Baker.
Oliver Stone's book was based on Jim Mars's.
This
or
guy's
Oliver Stone's movie
website.
based on his book.
Who, What, Why. He's a really, really great source for information on all the JFK and RFK, and he's done a lot of really scathing research that is linked actually two guys in particular to that continuity of government operation in that bunker beneath, I think it was the library of in the Dallas library. What was that? Who else talked about that? I think it might have been Peter Dale Scott or something. Peter Dale Scott, JFK, 9/11, because he talks about like the war conspiracy and and yeah, I think this is it, the road to 9/11. But he basically compares this continuity of government. This program has like basically they're the creme de la creme of the deep state. This is the deep state. Is this continuity of government? Anyone involved with this, it is essentially the deep state. Yep, American deep state. So yes, search for this continuity of government and stuff, and read. I gotta find I gotta find it. I'll post it in the description later when I find it. I don't want to sit here and bore you and waste time on it. But Russ Baker, he wrote a book. He runs that website, Who, What, Why, and Russ Baker wrote a book called Family of Secrets, which I read, which was one of the best books on JFK.
I've heard of him, but I've never looked into him.
This is one of the best books on JFK that have ever come out. And
What's his theory? What is he?
He went and did this investigation into George H.W. Bush, because he's never told a consistent story of where he was or what he was doing or
Right.
what was going on that day. And he basically has pieced together George H.W. Bush's role. And George H.W. Bush was a former World War II pilot. So he was a
Skull and Bones graduate.
He's a Skull and Bones graduate. Here he is on his in the hospital. Why don't you hurry up and fucking die, you piece of shit?
Yeah, he was just
But anyways, this guy, he dug into Bush's history, because Bush is he's the only guy to be head of the CIA, a vice president, and president of the United States. And
he was married to Aleister Crowley's daughter.
You don't get to be all those things unless you got some really, really dark secrets. And he found a lot of these dark secrets. One of the interesting things was there's something called the Parrott Memo. And he, Russ Baker, Parrott Memo. Let me see. Russ Baker, Parrott Memo. So Russ Baker, he really...
I seen Russ Baker when I saw his picture there. I've seen him before.
Yeah, that guy's good, man. He's a good, diligent researcher, a real journalist. And, so this is the memo. Basically, George H.W. Bush of the Central Intelligence... Oh, no, this isn't the one where he says he's of the CIA. But George Bush, he furnished he basically creates an alibi for himself to say that he's somewhere else and doing something else. But he was basically in Fort Worth, Texas that day, not far from Dallas, at this Kiwanis Club, giving some kind of political speech on something or whatever. And he left that meeting early and went somewhere else, and then went back to Dallas to check into this hotel. I think this whole Kiwanis thing was just like a distraction or another alibi that he kind of created for himself. But I really think that George H.W. Bush's actions in Dallas and Dealey, he was in Dallas and Dealey Plaza that day when things went down. I've seen this, and I about George Bush and Dealey Plaza. I don't know if you guys have seen this guy. Oh, they say it was him. So it's not. It is actually, this guy was not George H.W. Bush, and Russ Baker kind of confirms that. See, this guy they try to say that this dude was George H.W. Bush, and that one's been going around for a while. But
let me see that. Hold on a minute. Let me see that again, because I never seen this before. I know about the picture that they said was Bush.
Right. They tried to say that Bush was in Dealey Plaza, but Bush wasn't in Dealey Plaza. What Bush was doing is he was actually at a private airport in Fort Worth, Texas.
And these two
he was at a private airport
in the same year.
I don't know if he was the Dallas airport, but he was at the Dallas Love Field. He was at Dallas Love Field. He wasn't in Dealey Plaza. He was at Dallas Love Field, and his job was to fly the hijackers to Fort Worth on a small little Cessna aircraft that he had borrowed from this guy named Zeppo. And this is in the diary. They pulled parts of Barbara Bush's memoirs and her diary, and he pieced together the whole puzzle of the timeline of where he was and what he said he was. And then he was borrowing this guy named Zeppo. His plane, it was Zeppa, but he spelled the name wrong on purpose to try to disguise it, to try to hide the fact and hide it. But Russ Baker actually filled it. It was a different spelling of Zeppo, and that this guy had this plane that George Bush borrowed and actually flew from this airport that day. And it was right after the assassination, not long after that, his plane actually took off from Dallas Love Field and then landed at Fort Worth. Worth. And what his conclusion was of reinvestigating is that Bush he was a CIA agent right after Skull and Bones and leaving there when he was supposedly this Texas oilman and stuff. He was working for the CIA down there in Texas as an oilman. He was connected with the oilmen that met at what was it, Hunt's house that night. There was a big meeting with all these like top people. That was basically where they say that.
It was another person's house, but there was a ton of prominent people there.
Right, that meeting. And
next day,
they said
next
LBJ
day
was there
killed.
and stuff, and then the next day he was killed. Right, but Bush
Well,
Bush was in that ring.
Alan Hunt claims he was a CIA agent that was there to be a backup killer, and they claimed he was one of the tramps.
Well, no. They did find out that George Bush was connected with this other guy, George de Mohrenschildt.
Well, George de Mohrenschildt,
and that was
the only one that was.
That was Lee Harvey
Yeah, he was
Oswald's handler.
he was Lee Harvey Oswald's handler. Exactly. He was CIA.
This guy was a
doubt about
CIA
that.
agent, and he knew Lee Harvey Oswald personally. Took him under his wing, befriended him, was basically guiding him around and keeping him on a leash for the CIA.
You know that there
and
is
when this guy got killed, he was going to testify to the House Select Committee on Assassinations right after, and George Bush got put in place. He got put in charge of the CIA during that investigation.
Mohrenschildt killed himself with a shotgun.
No,
I think.
yeah,
Well,
two shotgun blasts.
That's what they say.
He killed himself with two
exactly
shotgun blasts to the head. He shot himself twice.
He shot himself in the head twice with a revolver, too, after exposing the CIA sold drugs to what's his name, Rick Ross, the crack kingpin of Los Angeles.
In this guy's diary, though, in his book, they found he actually wrote to George Bush while he was. He said that he was getting harassed and that people were following him around. He wrote these letters to George Bush, which are saved in the archives and stuff. And it's really weird because he looked like he was a close personal friend. He had George Bush's address and phone number in his address book when they found him dead. He had wrote a bunch of letters to George Bush, being like, use your pull and your help to get these guys off me. I promise. Like he said, he was going to be like good, and I'm not going to talk, and you can trust me. Like everything's cool. Like these weird, it's like these weird ominous letters. You got to seriously find this and read them.
George de Mohrenschildt was very wealthy too, from what I understand.
Yeah,
and another thing I wanted to point out.
He was an oil guy, and he was involved
why would
with
he be friends with Lee Harvey Oswald? Why would he be friends with him? It doesn't make any sense. I want to say this, too. I don't know if people know this out there or not, but Lee Harvey Oswald actually spoke such good Russian that he did not have an American accent while speaking Russian, which is very strange. There's a story out there also called The Two Lees. It's very interesting. I just wanted to throw that out there for people if they know anything about it, want to make a comment on the side.
The Two Lees? What's it called? The Two Lees?
Yeah, there's the Two Lees. There's a theory on that.
The
Harvey Oswald. There's a lady that wrote a book that claims she had dated him. But
Lee Harvey Oswald was CIA.
His Russian was amazing. Why would the government allow a defector move back from Russia?
Because he was part of the sheep dip. He was a sheep dip.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If he was an
him.
actual normal human being, exactly, he was CIA sheep dipped. People know what that means.
If people know what that means, so. Well, this is not the right. This is the sheep dipping. So basically, I'll give the whole history of what happened because Lee Harvey Oswald, right? It's interesting. He goes over this in Crossfire, which I want to bring up. So he was actually at Atsugi Air Force Base, right? Naval Air Force facility in Atsugi, Japan. Okay, so this is where Lee Harvey Oswald was stationed during the Vietnam War. Not the Vietnam. Sorry, that can't happen after. This was before, when he was in the military, before JFK was assassinated. But right here, let me find the actual location on here. But of this, let's look it up on this. So, Atsugi Air Force Base. So Atsugi was actually the place where all the U-2 spy plane flights were being run out of. So this housed the U-2 spy plane, and all the U-2 spy planes.
Strange. That's all CIA stuff.
That was all CIA. There was a big CIA building. One of these whole hangars. One of the whole hangars at Atsugi was a CIA hangar, and they were running surveillance ops on Russia out of that hangar. And Lee Harvey Oswald worked in the same place with the code books and that were and everything, right? So when he defected to Russia,
coincidence.
when he defected to Russia, there was a couple months later is when the Russians shot down the U-2 spy plane.
Francis Gary Powers.
And that big, huge, that U-2 spy plane incident in the Cold War history. And what they believe is that when they sheep-dipped him, they gave some intelligence. They send him over there with some intelligence, something to give the Russians that they can use as a bargaining chip that will. And this happened, this political thing to get us into the Cold War.
Gave him the flight path, you think, or what?
It was set up. He thinks it was set up on purpose, and that Lee Harvey Oswald was part of it, and that he had this information that basically he had gotten those flight codes and the flight logs, and he gave them to the Russians when he defected, and that the Russians used those flight logs to know where the planes would be, and they shot one down.
Yeah, because they were so high and so fast, you have to know.
And now they do all the surveillance.
Incredibly lucky shot in the world for them to knock one down.
Right, they had to have known, and they had, and he actually believes that they intelligence.
It's amazing he survived the crash.
But what's weird is that the Russians didn't accept Lee Harvey Oswald. They didn't trust him. They never did. They knew he was something or other, and he quickly fled the country and came back.
But what's interesting is this: if you ever looked at Lee Harvey Oswald's parents and stuff, how do we know that Lee Harvey Oswald wasn't Russian to begin with? I mean, his English or his Russian was absolutely perfect. It could not be detected that he was not. You understand?
Yeah. So he renounced.
Had no English
he publicly.
How's that possible?
Right. He publicly renounced his citizenship, but then he returned before they actually went through with it. So he came back with still a citizen. Yeah. So, but anyways, when he came back. After he came back, he linked up with this George de Mohrenschildt guy. George de Mohrenschildt linked him up with
much older.
He linked him up with the family. The Rose family? The ones that got him the job at the school book depository building. It's essentially that was facilitated by this guy. He got Lee Harvey Oswald the job at the 6th floor, working in the depository building. Right. And then he supposedly got Lee to take these pictures, but everyone thinks that they were photoshopped, which I believe too. I've seen the evidence that they've shown that they photoshopped.
Are you talking about the one where he's standing there holding the?
This looks more real than that one.
Where he's holding the rifle and he's.
So this one looks a little almost more real. You ready?
Yes. Oh, the banjo. No, let's look at the real one. There's the Mohrenschildt right up there.
Yeah, no, this is what I looked at.
So very evil-looking son of a bitch. Okay, so how is this proven to be fake?
Well, I don't know. I'm not going to get into that, but it was something about his
leg. It had
leg.
to do with the shadows or something.
Something about the shadows, and then his leg, and his off balance that he wouldn't be able to stand up straight if that was
I swear Marie Oswald admitted to be the one that took that picture, but I'm
Marina,
not
yeah, but I think they got to her. Sure. I think they got to her.
Well, they did. She admitted that a few years ago. She said her kids are
they threatened them all. Done all of them. They got threatened. Man, and they knocked off witnesses.
She's still alive.
So JFK.
She's still alive, married in Dallas. She still lives in Dallas. Believe it or not, there's the Mohrenschildt.
So I got a good page on my website, Conspiracy. If you go to JFK Assassination, and I got a lot of stuff on here.
What you should
Operation
do,
40,
is...
Operation Mongoose. I got JM Wave, the whole Operation Zapata with the Bay of Pigs. They basically they had a CIA operation down in the Bay of Pigs with over 250 soldiers that the CIA had trained, and when the Kennedy denied air support for the Bay of Pigs operation that they had launched, they basically had to abandon ship, and all 200 people, soldiers that they had trained and worked with for 5+ years, they all got killed. And
they wanted to get even with Kennedy, but not only that,
and all these top guys from JM Wave escaped. So all these dudes,
get rid of them.
All these dudes from JM Wave, these are the guys right here in this picture, and they show them all.
Get rid of the CIA, also.
These guys basically they were all these Cuban people, and they took all the CIA, the Cuban trained CIA guys, these assassination squad, Alpha 66, which was the name of this CIA trained assassination squad, and they simply turned it on the president because all these guys hated Kennedy and wanted him fucking dead. because they blamed him for killing all their friends in the Bay of Pigs.
No, it had to be a hell of a conspiracy. I know that much.
Well, I
It is
mean,
interesting.
it's crazy because you think about how they could have gotten away with it for so long, and I mean, it's just mind-boggling. It's all with the media. It's with the media and the way they control the media and how they set up the story.
Well, they're
and
doing it
instill
today.
the story
I mean,
for
people are
30
finally
years.
seeing today. People are finally seeing
Waking up
what's
to
going
this.
on.
But I want to get into that a little bit because Dan Rather. Have you ever seen that Dan Rather?
He was
where he
young
just-
when this happened.
He was just a no-name, shit reporter on Dallas
Yeah, and he
News.
became extremely.
And
Yeah, there he is.
they basically made his career because they said, if you lie for us,
He was fucking boring. Okay.
he's boring and dumb and some loser. And they said, if you lie for us,
who had a particularly good vantage
we'll
point,
set you up and make your
just
career.
past the building from which the fatal shot.
So nobody saw the Zapruder film until like the 70s. It was shown on TV
because
for the first time.
Time Life bought the rights to it and held on to it for a
So
very long time.
All
And
people
you know
had
who
for
debuted it?
almost over I think it was like over a decade, all people had was this. This was the description. So Dan Rather had seen the film and he's describing it to
You know
people.
who debuted it? Geraldo Rivera debuted it, and guess who was on the show with him? It was 1979. It was Geraldo Rivera and Dick Gregory,
Mrs. Kennedy,
the African American conspiracy guy that just passed away last year.
Or sense that first shot, I didn't hear it. The
And it was
film
edited.
in the seat in front.
Yeah, I'm gonna find the part where he
Changed the
basically.
position of the car and everything. Should show the video where they proved, Jeremy, that the Bruder film was edited. The car
Right here.
was moved and
The
everything.
president's head. He
Watch this.
could be seen to move violently forward.
Right there. Right there.
Yeah, it says he moves forward.
The
Yeah.
president's
He
head.
says he moves forward. He does not move forward. He moves back and to the left, defying basic physics. Anyone who
How would
knows
he know that?
physics-
Because back then there was no live footage of the Zapruder film. Was it?
He saw
How
it.
did-
They
did he-
showed it to him before
showed it to him.
Time Life graved it up. He got to see it. He was one of the few people that
Okay.
actually got to see it.
That's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
And they went on his description of it to the
From
public. for
63
years.
to 79, Jeremy, they had that video hidden.
Yeah, on
All
lockdown for
16 years.
16
They
years.
edited it. They moved the car. I mean,
And
you can
everyone
look
thought
at
it was
the
live.
skies
They-
with-
Everyone thought
Good.
that they had moved forward. It didn't. It moved backward. And I've never
back
seen
to the left.
a single person like adequately debunk that. With they've done some of those experiments that were just like pathetic. Where like they got this pig chained up, like the one they did on Jesse Ventura with the
Yeah.
pig, and like
Yeah,
you
and
you can see like they moved the chain on the freaking pig to move it forward to like make it like they fucked that whole thing up, dude. Like
And the whole
they
thing
should have got
on,
like
on
some
Jesse
science
Ventura, the
professors.
car wasn't moving either. The car was sit still. The car should have been moving. Changes everything.
Yeah, they misled him on that seriously, and
Well,
that
and
show
he
that
used
they
that
put
Mannlicher
together.
Carcana gun and said it was such a piece of shit. And let's face it, Jesse Ventura was a Navy SEAL. He knows his weapons, and he still was an expert marksman at the time he made that shot. So
Yeah. I don't know. It's just
look at the Zapruder film, and where they say it's proven that it's edited. There are several guys that have done their
Right.
research and their homework on this, and they're experts in film.
yes. You can,
Nowadays, it's easy to edit something, but back then it was film. You had to really, really work at it to get done what they did. And they actually moved the car.
right to set up the timing to like fuck with the timing so that the shot would appear like it happened before it did.
Right, so it could appear it was done by the book depository, but instead
By the
of on
same
top
shooter
and
too,
side.
because there's two shots that fired in rapid position. But let's look at
Right.
the magic bullet trajectory.
Oh man, that's such a bunch of shit.
And
too.
it's such a bunch of shit. They're like, oh, well, if we just move this, the seat
And the
was
bullet
actually
was in
6
perfect
inches
shape.
higher.
The bullet was in perfect shape.
Oh my
It was,
god!
you know,
Watching the computer recreation
fucking
and
bullshit.
this guy's like, we did this thing, and then it looks nothing like the actual like footage or what really
I
happened.
know, it's so fucking
And
pathetic.
they made like a computer. It's like proof by computer simulation, kind of like they did with like
Yeah.
how the towers collapsed. No,
Yeah,
they
that
weren't
was
blown up,
ridiculous.
even though it like peels apart like a banana.
Yeah, even though a 3,000-ton girder freaking goes flying 500 feet in the air and hits a building across the, what, a block late, a block over.
So, anyways, I thought that was really interesting how they tied in, George de Mohrenschildt with George H.W. Bush. And it makes a lot of sense because, they had that reinvestigation in the JFK assassination with the House Select Committee on Assassinations. And right in time for that,
Why don't you look up
George Bush, they wanted the
likenesses?
CIA, they were going to do a complete, overhaul on the CIA, and they wanted to appoint someone to be part of that, right?
Yeah.
And so they wanted someone who was an outsider, who didn't have no history with the CIA.
Aleister Crowley's daughter's husband. So.
Right, and they picked George H.W. Bush, and
Dude, if you take a picture, if you look at the picture comparisons of, let's see, what's the one Bush, Marvin Bush, compared to Aleister Crowley at the same age, they look exactly alike. She looks exactly like him. She has the same insane eyes.
Oh yeah,
it's unbelievable.
Yeah,
I did this the other day and was blown away. The same identical, insane
here,
eyeballs. And I mean, younger pictures of Crowley look exactly alike. Thank God Ozzy Osbourne wrote that song. No one would even know who he is, but he was the original.
I could see it. It's kind of
absolutely. Look at her eyeballs. Look at the younger pictures of him and Marvin together down there. And what was Marvin involved in? Jeremy Securicom.
Yeah, he ran the security at the towers, and
until the day that they went down, his contract ran out. I mean, come on. And her real dad, she looks nothing like him, supposedly. Well, the father that was supposed to be, I think his name was Pierce. Look at those eyeballs. I mean, it's just, this is so insane. It's.
Yeah, I could definitely see some resemblance, man. But man, she is one hideously ugly woman.
Oh my God!
But
it's probably an arranged marriage. I mean, that was considered.
Yeah,
I think
back
it was.
then, it was just weird. He obviously didn't marry
She
her
just
for
died.
her looks.
Didn't she just die a couple of weeks ago? She just passed away. She was pretty old. She was in her 90s.
Yeah, she died. Yeah. Holy shit! It's April 17th.
Yeah. Yeah. Wouldn't that have been something if it had been 9/11?
Well, I really feel like after Bush dies, the truth is going to come out on JFK because they're holding a lot of that stuff for that.
Yes.
But a lot of the truth has been destroyed and covered up and been mutilated and wrecked. I mean, look,
Jeremy, almost everybody's gone that was involved. The E. Howard Hunt confession, you didn't think anything of that? I mean, it was a recording. I mean, they recorded him talking. His son recorded it on his deathbed.
He was a piece
Why would he say that
right to the back?
I don't get it. He was involved in Watergate.
Well, look what did he say on his deathbed, man? You listen to the whole thing, and
he says that he was a bench warmer, so he was basically a backup hitman.
Right, but what he does is he tries to place the whole friggin' conspiracy on Cord Meyer Jr. That's who he places. He puts the entire thing on Cord Meyer Jr. Okay, which I think he did it for some other reasons he had. He didn't like Cord Meyer. And he wanted to put this whole thing on Cord Meyer.
Who exactly is Cord Meyer? He was involved in the agency, wasn't he?
He was a CIA agent, and he began work with the CIA and became a high-level operator, and he retired in 1977. I guess he had a romantic link with his wife. He basically said that his wife, Mary Pinochet, was basically, she was fucking around with JFK, having an affair with JFK, and that was the reason he wanted her murdered.
Know.
He wanted her He wanted JFK murdered because JFK was porking his wife. That's basically what he said. You didn't listen to you didn't hear that in the whole. You didn't listen to the E. Howard Hunt interview. Man, he talked about this.
I did, but I remember him talking about him, but I don't remember him saying that was the absolute reason why he wanted him dead.
Yeah, because that's what he said in the interview, and he puts the whole thing on Cord Meyer. But I tend to believe.
I don't know, man. That 98.6 degree hole make men do crazy things.
That Russ Baker, he says that what's the guy's name? Crichton, not Michael Crichton. That's the guy who wrote Jurassic Park, but Crichton. Let me find it. It's on this page on my.
You know, that's the whole thing. Once
David
you get in
Crichton.
the rabbit hole, you end up, you just get deeper and deeper and go to the side
Yeah,
and go
here
everywhere.
it is.
You know, it just, we can go on and on for probably 10 years about
Oh yeah,
this.
we could get into all the real.
My
the
question to
Jack
you is
Crichton.
who, you know, actually it doesn't matter who shot him. He was probably not shot by Oswald. That's pretty much
Okay,
proven.
so John Alston Crichton, also known as Jack Crichton, October 16th, 1916 to December 10th, 2007, he died, was an oil and natural gas industrialist from Dallas, Texas, who was among the first of his ranks to recognize the importance of petroleum, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so he was, 1964, he carried the Republican banner in a fruitless campaign against the re-election of Governor John B. Connally, and then a Democrat who switched parties. So kind of like after JFK was assassinated, he tried out politics. Interesting, huh?
Yeah.
He was this guy. He was basically involved in the intelligence and in that bunker, and he had developed an association with George Herbert Walker. So he was connected with George Herbert Walker, one of the guys that rode in the follow-up limousine right behind Kennedy. Was riding right in the follow-up limousine right behind Kennedy. I think that those guys were watching to make sure everything went according to plan.
Do you recall the story that let's see here, that how was that, Johnson was supposed to ride in the same limousine as Kennedy, and he refused and rode in the limousine behind him. You ever hear that story?
No.
You have to look into that. There's some people that have testified to that said that's the absolute truth. So probably knew it was coming, I'm sure, because of the plan the night before and that. See, and that's another thing. You should have looked into that again and seen who all was in that home the night before at that prestigious meeting. And it's incredible.
Yeah, what was that?
Were on that list. Just type in the meeting before the meeting the night before Kennedy was assassinated. That Johnson was there. Johnson was there. That is a telltale story of.
Yeah, that one really.
If we could go back in time and see what happened in that room.
The bottlers meeting, right? There was like a bottlers convention that was there at the same time.
It was
at the
a
Dallas
big
Trade
home.
Mart.
It's a large home, and it lists the people that were there, and it's pretty incredible, the names you'll see.
So.
Seems like these people all went on in life to do big things. You know what I
Right,
mean?
they all like benefited huge from this, and like were linked together.
Or they ended up dead.
Or they ended up dead because they knew too much. Really.
Yeah.
And that's how these people are too.
Amazing how these people shit themselves in the head twice, you know.
They rope you in, and then like they slowly pick you off as they.
Yep.
It's crazy, and they're watching you forever too. They just imagine having that much guilt on your hands, and you don't know who you can trust. I had a list actually. If you go to my page here too, assassinations. I have this assassinations page, and it has a whole list of deaths. And it's pretty crazy. Like these are all. It starts with all the people that were connected somehow with the JFK assassination, right here.
Right.
And
wow, I didn't know you had that on there. I didn't know you were into that as much as you are. I studied Oswald for a period of time last year, and it was very bizarre what I found out.
300 witnesses all died in the decade following the JFK assassination. All the most crucial witnesses died right away, and they all died of weird, this guy, gunshot victim, gunshot to head, murdered, suicide by hanging in the jail, heart attack, throat was cut, accidental shooting by a policeman, gunshot in the head, ruled suicide, plane crash in Mexico, passenger on that plane, two of these guys killed together, fatally shot, heart attack, blow to the neck, unknown, they don't know how he died, and then the cancer and all the other stuff, and Oh, it's pretty nuts. There was also this other thing that they had done. I go to all these different theories.
This shit has not changed. It still goes on today. I mean, nothing has
I
changed.
put the CIA assassinations manual on there too. People could see like that. I think that honestly think that was a really weak one.
They're so crooked. They know all this. They know what's up.
Yeah.
They know their ticket is going to get punched if they don't fucking play ball. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. The research that I've done is definitely a lot better than the people out there just saying, "Oh my God, it was the limo driver."
Oh, that was ridiculous.
You see the gun, right?
I see. You know what? What it was there was reflection of the inside of the door, inside
Bill
the
Cooper.
door, chrome in there. It's reflection. That was not a nickel. Why would a guy that's doing a hit use a nickel plated or whatever plate it was gun that would be reflectable that everybody could see in the crowd?
It's just the top of the guy's hair. He's got the slicked hair from the, like everyone had. This is the sun reflecting off the top of his head.
Well, and then they see where the arrow's pointing down there, where they
see his
hands on a gun right there. That's actually right there. That's chrome from the door.
Yeah.
Too. They're claiming he has it in his hand right there. See the arrow?
Oh, yeah.
I do see the top of the guy's head there too.
We've been in and off this, and what's really crazy too is that that's why I like we can control like the direction of what we talk about and the direction of the information on here a lot better, because when we did the forum before, I remember like posting all this other stuff about all that Russ Baker stuff and all this other JFK shit, and man, it got completely ignored and moved to the bottom of the list, and just people just kept arguing over this limo driver nonstop. It was just that.
I remember that. I couldn't
stand it.
It
Was just like that, 28 pages of just people arguing over the limo driver, and then all the other posts I did on all this other information got like zero attention. It was like, what the heck, man? Why?
I mean, he had blood sprayed all over him. I'm sure he's going to turn around and look and see what the fuck's going on. He's also, remember, Secret Service.
It's crazy.
He's not just a limo driver, he's a trained.
I thought the Parkland Hospital doctors was another really convincing piece of evidence. All those doctors.
Oh, he was so pissed off.
Man, that's not what happened. And then how they changed the limousine all over to hide the bullets in the hood and the front of the windshield and the bullet holes, because people had shot the car from the front.
To a special part of the Ford factory, from what the history says, and replaced the windshield.
Yeah. To hide all the evidence. Why wouldn't they keep it on like they should have had
They cleaned the car out. They cleaned the car out when it was in the emergency room parking lot.
Yeah, they cleaned it all out. That should have been like put in a museam right away.
Crime scene.
Just like
crime scene,
it should have been locked down and not touched. It was a crime scene, and they altered it. They did.
What's really weird is in that.
What do you think about
where you can see the back of his head being painted? It's just so bizarre.
I watched this whole new movie. What do you think about the body switch? There's this whole theory about Tippett, right? So there's this theory about Tippett is that everyone
thinks that was the person that was actually Kennedy in the casket.
Right. That everyone thought Tippett looked like.
He was the officer that Oswald supposedly shot outside of the boarding house he was in.
But they think somebody else shot him, because they needed his body. They needed his body.
Yep. And they claim that one guy was hired, the one that let's see in the movie.
So this is the guy right here. Look at him. So they all said that he looked like JFK, and there's a pretty stark resemblance between him and JFK. Some people say that he was they try to pin him in Badgeman. That Badgeman shit's a bunch of crap, dude.
Well, they also claim that they had a guy on there that was the best mortician in the country. And they claim that they had him aboard the plane, and he did whatever he could to make him look like JFK, which is really weird also. But
it's believable because the CIA did body switches. Yeah. The CIA was doing body switches and stuff like that back then.
They were doing,
and he's close enough. It would make sense that
absolutely.
That body and the guy in the picture of this autopsy report that could have been J.D. Tippett, because they needed a second body in case the damage to his head was too severe, that they needed to basically fake the evidence and fake the
weird.
So they basically had a surgeon. They had a surgeon take J.D. Tippett alter him to make him look kind of like JFK, and then cut the back of his head open to make it look like the injury. The injuries happened then, and then they lost. It's just the chain of evidence and everything that happened. And they moved him out of Dallas. The autopsy should have been performed in the state where the death happened. It should have been performed in Dallas, but they flew the plane out of Dallas to one of the most corrupt naval hospitals in the world at the time.
Yeah.
The Bethesda Naval Hospital, right? And you know about all the
His
stories.
his brain was missing. I mean, his brain was gone.
Yeah, they lost his brain. They destroyed it and they embalmed it and they did all this. Yeah. To hide all the evidence, and
I think it flew out.
Bethesda,
I think it disintegrated and fell out of the back of his head. A lot of it.
So this was what Bethesda looked like back in the day. They brought the body to Bethesda Naval Hospital, where of course this was a place where they used to lock. This was like the mental hospital where they used to lock up all the people that he's just crazy. Don't listen to him talking about all those saucers that we're working on out in the desert. He's just.
Yeah.
That's where they lock those people up, and
isn't that where what's his name was
Bill
thrown
Cooper
out of
wrote
the,
a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, that was where James Forrestal was thrown out of the window.
Thrown out of a window that couldn't be broken when they tried to test it.
Yeah, that's what was it? James Forrestal. He was the Secretary of Defense. That supposedly.
It's corrupt.
Right. May 22nd.
Yeah, he supposedly knew the truth about UFOs and wanted to.
Right. He supposedly had. He was in office. He was in office right after Secretary of Defense. He was elected right after Roswell.
Well, I believe also that
they had to change a staff on purpose because they needed to bring in people that he was one of the. Actually, they listed him as one of the original founding members of MJ-12.
I think Howard Hughes knew something too, and I think they portrayed him as crazy, and I think he was basically forced to live the way he did the last 20 years of his life.
That's crazy, huh?
In exile. Absolutely, man. He was involved in government contracting, and he was...
Yeah, because why did he go like nuts like that? Why did he isolate and do that, man?
He didn't.
There's something else going on.
He was perfectly fine when he testified in front of Senator Brewster at the hearings, but... he was supposedly completely insane there, but he seemed perfectly fine there.
Yeah.
He seen something that shook him up, and he couldn't handle it. So they were like, you stay locked in this hotel for the rest of your life, because Howard Hughes was so popular that, who knows, it would have raised a lot of eyebrows if they just would have probably shot him or something.
Who knows,
something
man, what they
very strange. Something very strange happened with Hughes.
Yeah.
I'm convinced of it.
That's interesting, man. I want to get more info on, and we definitely got to get more debates on. I'm not trying to,
Yeah, I agree. But that's cool you brought it up.
Yeah, let me. I'm just trying to get back to some of these comments and stuff too. People are going off about different stuff.
Go ahead, let's read it.
Let me see what are people going on to.
I got shit talking about this.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of people just having their own independent discussions on here, is what it looks like, just talking to each other. I just looked over real quick to see, but yeah, we're getting on a little, almost 2.5 hours here on this stream, and I know anybody who rewatches this video is never gonna really stay on and get involved in this long and stay on. So, and I'm getting kind of hungry. I want to go eat some food and kind of just relax for a bit. So, why don't we end the stream right here? And
sounds good.
We've been talking about all kinds of no topics. Since we started. We've been just taking every taboo, crazy topic, and we just kind of been going off on tangents in all these different directions and covering them all. And I guess that's an all right thing to do for now. But I want to get things more set up and organized, because we're going to start doing more discussions and more often and a lot more frequently.
This is more or less a Saturday night chat. And
just a weekly chat.
I didn't start the way I wanted to. I
know. Yeah. Wish that guy paid you.
That's been night.
But yeah, I mean, I'm thinking in the future we will have a lot more discussions and get a lot more people on to kind of debate things and get different angles, because I like to hear different sides and I like to hear different opinions on stuff, and this seems to be like the stuff we covered here was pretty pretty mainstream for the most part. It's not all the information that I brought up is really mainstream. It's a lot of takes a lot of digging and research to find that kind of stuff. But
I did like talking about Alex Jones and Joe Rogan. I find him very interesting. Alex Jones, like I said, I believe he wants to be the next Rush Limbaugh. I think money's on his mind, but at the same time, he's just staying as far away as he can from the conspiracies he used to cover, and it sucks. The guy used to make $50,000 a month, Jeremy, out of his house. His wife said that, and for some reason, and that was back in the late 90s. I mean, you got to be kidding me. I mean, that's not enough. So he has to go take on this insane conglomerate of hundreds of people now. And
there's a vacuum, man. There's a vacuum. It really is. There's no one out there doing what Alex Jones used to do or what these other guys used to do before they kind of sold out or changed or whatever. And I think that
I think he has hundreds of millions on his mind.
A couple other people, we put together a channel and we just dedicate it to just doing real investigative journalism and reporting on different topics and different subjects, and we just switch it up all the time. We'll do a different subject all the time and really get involved. But I'd like to stay more focused. We kind of jumped around a lot tonight and kind of just went down little tangents on different subjects, kind of like give overviews to just kind of show what kind of researchers we are and what kind of information we have up in our brains. But I really think if we picked like a specific topic every week and just we'll pick it like the week in advance for next week, so we'll pick a topic for next week or something, and that way me and you will have like the whole week to kind of like do a bunch of research on it. And it sucks. It's hard for me because I've been working full time. Well, I haven't been lately. I've been out of work on a workman's comp case for the past couple weeks. But I work full time and I have a regular day job. But I want to eventually be able to transition into somehow being able to do, if those guys can make $60 million a year and have a real professional studio and do this, it shouldn't be too hard for people who've done the trench work and put in their hours and have it all up here like me and Dan do, to be able to get a show and something going where we can really just nail these conspiracies down and go after people and hold debates with skeptics, get these guys on to debate with us so we can really get to the bottom of these things. Because
you were on here a long time ago with a ton of, you had 70,000 subscribers 5-6 years ago, and there was an infiltration that just shut the forum down, everything down like that, and we have our suspicions on what happened, but
I think we can't dwell on the past, and we need to focus on the future and pick up the pieces, and that Ken left and that Ed left and that all these other things left in the past, the stuff that we've done with this channel. It happens in this type of research and in this field that you will follow leads. And sometimes you'll follow them for 5 years. Sometimes you'll follow them for 10 years. Sometimes 25 years. Sometimes you follow them your entire life. I followed these leads down, and then after 5 years, like with the Ed Fouche thing, where I kind of gave it up and let go of it, and said, what, I'm not gonna revisit that. But we're gonna have to revisit Ed Fouche. That's another thing too, because that's not like the stuff that he's been gone a year, and
I get messages a lot about him, but I don't respond.
There's still a lot that hasn't been told or hasn't been said, and me and Dan have been going back and forth on some of our debates. But it's been long enough, and we've put enough distance ourselves between it that I almost think that we should do a rehash on that and sort of argue our different sides and kind of try to get to the bottom of that whole case too, because there's a lot of people out there that are.
There's someone down there named Monica that says, "I believed."
Ed Fouche.
Dan
still believes
it. Let me just say this much: I knew Ed better than anybody, and Ed never said that 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 story wasn't true, and I'll just say this much. Look up flying triangle cases. Look up UFOs over Illinois in 2005. Police officers chased a triangular vehicle that they estimate was 250 feet to 300 foot per side. And it's on YouTube. Their investigations. This one channel did a show about it, and the drawings are identical to what Ed described. And
thing that really got me.
So many cases. There's so many cases, but there was a lot of fighting in between because Ed liked
the drinking and everything.
Argument.
He liked to argue. He liked to
PTSD
start
and drank,
fights and stuff. But one of the things I want to point out that, I mean, I believed Ed for years too, and still there's things that I'm not sure about and I don't know about because I don't know, because I haven't had all the answers, and I've done a lot of investigation into him and trying to put the pieces together. I learned about Ed Fouche from watching a video called The Case for Anti-Gravity, it was called, and it was this older video where this guy put together all this case for possible technologies and stuff with anti-gravity, and at the very end he mentioned something about Ed Fouche, which got me down that path, which we've been there and visited that with the science of the TR3B and the Mercury vortex engine and all that stuff. We've been down that road, but really what still stands out in my mind.
Fouche never said he invented metamaterials. That's bullshit.
No, he never did, but he
never fucking said he invented them.
He talked about metamaterials, and it was at a
way
time
before anybody else.
Way before anybody else,
mid-90s.
quasi-crystals and metamaterials, and he mentioned those two materials,
Yeah.
and he said that that was what was really going down. A lot of research going into that at Area 51, and then here we are years later, and it's like metamaterials are being taken seriously. They were only theoretical, and now they're real, and they're building them in labs and using them to create invisibility and real invisibility technology. And invisibility technology would be something that they would be developing at Area 51. That's the kind of stuff that they'd be researching, and the scientists there in top secret programs would be actively pursuing on a regular basis is technology just like that. So did he get that information from other sources, like reading magazines or science books, or just talking to people, and then kind of put it all together? It remains to be said, and I think we'll save it for another day. That we'll host a full-on discussion on it, because I would need a little, and I think you said before too, you'd need a little bit of time to prepare for that, because this.
I know more about Ed than anybody does. I do. Anybody that's alive. Everybody that's involved in Ed's life.
Or that's talking, anyway. Anyone that's talking.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, his best friend died, and 2 months later he died.
Yeah, man. Well, I definitely think that we should get into that, because even there's some suspicion and things about the death that have me a little uneasy, and I.
Like the mistake in the.
There's mistakes in the obituary. It says he was from
Illinois for 5 years, and the town he lived in had less than 2,000 people. How could the mortician make a mistake like that?
Yeah.
There's a lot of weird things that have gone on too in my life that are just I don't even want to get into really now. But I met a lot of people that Ed knew, and that's all I'm going to say.
I have a video.
John I might say, I just say that look at the triangular crafts that people have seen and have drawn, and you either got one or two choices. They're either alien or they're ours. That's it. You've got one or two choices. What do you believe more? Do you think aliens are flying around in huge triangles over the United States? I don't.
Yeah, it's definitely quite plausible that the military has top secret craft, and this TR3B is the TR3B. Like the whole thing I got into with the TR3B, and I got a page on it here on AlienScientist, which people that want to check out that /TR3B.
Yeah.
And the Aurora project, some of the triangular craft that were developed, like real ones that were actually developed, and then this whole thing with.
Yes. One funny note is.
But the thing is
Tom,
go
ahead. I was going to laugh.
I really
at
want to
something.
know.
Tom DeLong
this is-
contacted Ed. Ed told him to fuck off. That is funny.
Really?
Yeah, Ed was like, "Who is this guy that claims he's a rock star? I don't give a flying fuck."
Oh
who he
yeah, I
is."
remember back then.
Ed
Yeah,
told him to fuck off, and I was like, "Really?" Tom
I told him-
DeLonge?
I
didn't
told
believe
him.
it, and it was actually really him.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we didn't
Yeah.
believe it. Yeah, he
Ed could have
contacted.
cared less. He's like, "I could care less," Yep.
Yep.
Said, I don't.
Way back in the
Ed,
day.
That's what Ed said. Exactly. It's the exact
He was
same words.
reaching
he
out
told
all
the guy
kinds
to
of
fuck
people.
off.
But yeah, well, he was promoting this TR3 thing huge during that Joe Rogan podcast.
Well, he wrote a book.
on
He
it.
wrote a book called.
Oh yeah, The Secret Machines, where he goes over all
with
this
the
stuff.
K. He claims that there's a jet.
Yeah, he claims he knows.
The TR3B is real.
I'd like to, I wouldn't maybe mind taking a peek at that. I don't know if I want to buy it and support him just to read it, but I would like to at least see what
I don't know
things
if
he
there's
has to
an
say in
ebook.
that book.
Is there an ebook or not? I don't know. There is a. You can pull the articles up that he's written about TR3B online, but
Yeah.
again, there's
Well, the
two
thing
things.
is, who
been told it's real, and
which contractor was hired to build it? That's what I want to know, because it's got to be one, Northrop Grumman or Lockheed
TRW
Martin.
supposedly.
Well,
TRW was supposedly the main one. Schratt's done a lot of research on it.
That's the thing. We did a bunch of research on patents and different. Remember that patent that came out on the TR, that fake patent that guy came out with.
Yes, and it was 2 days after Ed died. And it was and it's all over the place. It's all ridiculous.
Yeah, it's taken over.
Well, I
Like
feel proud of
all
that.
the real TR3B stuff that was out was like it's kind of been
It's got to make
whitewashed
you
by
wonder.
that shit.
It's got to make you wonder, why would they do that?
Why would that happen? Yeah, that kind of struck me as
Within-
weird, because
Within 48 hours of him dying. Yep.
48 hours of him dying, and that thing came out. It just took over, and then now everyone thinks that the TR3B was a Biefeld Brown balloon. It's all as a Biefeld Brown balloon. It was a big freaking balloon that flew around with Biefeld Brown effect, and that's the anti-gravity craft, and that's what that's what the patent. That people believe that shit. Nothing about that mercury plasma or the vortex engine that seems so much like that Nazi Bell drive or any of that stuff.
Like I said, if you
it's kind of
research
weird, man.
massive triangle sightings and you look at the drawings these people make,
So
how did they fucking make a drawing that looks exactly like Ed's CAD drawing that he had made up? That's what's so strange. How?
yeah.
And it's groups of people.
Well, were those sightings happen before Ed came out with this or after? It's kind of
They're all after.
all after.
They're all after. Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
All after. It's very strange. That's all I'll say. And I've had a lot of strange things happen to me when I was friends with Ed. Obviously, he passed on. Some of the strangest things I've ever had. The strangest things that ever happened to me in my life were when I knew Ed.
I had posted some other patents on here on this page too that were could have been much more similar to in the actual TR3B craft, and those were patents by a company called Teledyne Ryan, which a lot of people think that the TR stood for actually
TRW or Teledyne Ryan. Yeah, that
Teledyne Ryan, and
TR was tactical reconnaissance, but it could have been a prototype. Could be the Teledyne Ryan, because supposedly they made the magnetic field disruptor or something. I can't remember exactly, but
well, this Teledyne Ryan Corporation,
they're huge.
They were a big Ryan. Now they're called Ryan Aeronautical. They're out of San Diego, California, which is. That's interesting, because wasn't that hangar of Ed in a cat?
That was at Groom Lake in '79. Even though Ed knew every person's name in there, people claim that wasn't him. So.
Yeah, I kind of went
I'll be
back
back
and
in
forth
1
on
second.
that too, because of David Hilton and everything.
Yeah, well, David Hilton made a lot of people go back and forth on a lot of things, which is really weird.
I mean, I go back and forth on a lot of stuff too, but certain things.
I do too, but the whole thing is that, like I said, investigate these triangular sightings, and that's where it's at. It's the investigation.
And what about that Lackland Air Force Base photo where you look it up and it's the only one in the whole Air Force book where
that doesn't have the names of the guys on it. Yeah, it's anyone. because I was looking for Charles Hall in there, and there's no Charles Hall in there or his aliases in 64. And
that'll be another topic.
It's the Air Force's freaking site. It shows every class that graduated, and it's the only one you can find of hundreds or maybe thousands of classes that doesn't have the guys' names. It's very strange, man. And David Hilton, when he did the FOIA on Eddie, was blocked by the DOD at first, and David had the recording of the phone conversation recorded, and he had the video up. It used to be up, and when he turned on Ed, he took that video down. Then he actually did get a FOIA from, let's see here, he did get a FOIA. That's part of Ed's FOIA right there.
Yeah,
I'll be
I
back
have.
in a second.
It's right up
It's
here.
online. He was in the Air Force 20 years, and everything that's blacked out are classified schools.
It's at fouche.html, alienscientist.com, fouche.html, and you can go down here. You can find that whole, David Hilton had sent me that. It's still up, and you can get the whole, you can download it right on his website and see that FOIA that he got on Ed. We really should revisit this another time, Dan. I want to end this stream because I'm starving and I want to get something to eat.
Yeah, I am too, and I don't really want to talk about it, to be honest with you.
I know. I told you we weren't gonna, and it kind of just came.
Well, no,
up.
I mean, tomorrow none of my computers will work. I mean,
right? Yeah, Jesus. As soon as I started
no
talking
shit.
about it.
I mean, I've been through 4 computers in the past since November 4. I've been through that many.
I know. We've talked
brand
about
new.
this. I blame Best Buy. Dan thinks it's because why haven't they hacked my computers, Dan? How come I didn't buy my computer at Best Buy, but they haven't hacked mine yet?
I'm not saying it's just kind of coincidental. I talked about him one night.
And I asked you this. You never
computers don't
answered me. Do you have a UPC? Do you got a surge protector with a battery backup for your computer?
I have a surge protector. Yeah.
You should have. You should definitely have one of those. I got one.
It's
And
bizarre things that happen with the computer.
my last, I did have a computer that fried, but I kind of almost. I don't know whether to blame that on the electrical in this friggin' apartment. And
Here's the thing,
surge.
though. I've had so many computers that went. I bought the 3-year. If you have any problem with it, you bring it back. They give me a new one. They got the shits of me. So they gave me a computer that cost, I'm not going to say what it is, maybe $699 more than the one I bought, which was extremely expensive. Now this one's holding up till tomorrow, probably.
Right.
So I just try not to even talk about it. I really do. I don't want to.
Yeah. This guy Ryan's going on about this conspiracy and the. I've been reading it, Ryan. Man, I don't think you have much of a case there, or it's really about at this point, it's more about what not what happened and how, right? Everyone wants to talk about what happened and how it happened. That's all the conspiracy theories and all the movements there. Everyone in this conspiracy world wants to talk about what happened and how it happened. And that's really inconsequential. It's really, I really think that we need to move away from what and how and talk about who and why. I think that the question of who and why is much more important than what and how. So I'm going to leave it at that. And we're going to get back onto some... Yeah, man, guys, you got to come out here to Massachusetts or Rhode Island. We should hold a conference or something, or get like a thing together, man.
Well, some of these guys are really pissed at each other.
Oh, they're going over all kinds of stuff. That's what I like, man. I want to get people started with heated arguments and debates. And,
let them in. Next time, let them in. Let's let them in the chat. That'll be fun.
I let most people in, but people that just continuously post just negative and distracting stuff, like.
So you knock them off. You just kick them out.
And then you get the guys that like keep posting. We can't hear you. Your sound's messed up, because that like totally throws me off. But it's like the sound's really working, but they just say it just to like, oh man.
That's why you check.
It's crazy, dude. Yeah. Well, I can see it right here on my stream thing. See?
Yeah.
So I can see it right here.
I kind of have it in the background.
But anyways, I'm gonna end this for now, and guys. Yeah. Tune in maybe tomorrow night. Or I don't know if I'm going to do another one tomorrow night, but I'm going to try and do one of these once a week just to start off. And once I get a studio going and things get rocking full time and I can do it, I'm gonna eventually try to do this do something every day, or at least, you know, a short video, something we can put out, so I have some constant stream of content going, and turn this into a full-time thing. Because there's so much information out there that, I mean, just me talking to Dan, it's kind of like rehashing a lot of older stuff, and a lot of the stuff we talked about tonight's older stuff. But there's so much new information and fresh information and people out there that I really want to reach out to and get on and interview. So those of you out there, you know who you are. We'll be getting in touch soon, and we got tons of information that we need to go over and discuss and report on. So stay tuned, and thanks for watching, guys, and thanks for all you guys over here in the live chat hanging out with us tonight, and I hope you all have an awesome summer full of truth.